Yeah, stay focused here. Here, now, so far we understood about fetch the instruction and decode the instruction in one of our previous slides, right? In fact, CPU is doing only one job every time. CPU does only one job every time, that is fetching, decoding, executing the instructions, isn't it? Yes, it is. Now, let us say that one instruction is available in the instruction register. Let us say this is the instruction register. One instruction has been fetched to the instruction register. Okay, you know that after fetch, that is after T0 and T1, the instruction is available in the instruction register. Let us forget about even those T0 and T1. I don't care. Even if you forget this T0 and T1, let us understand the instruction register holds the current instruction right now. Now what we have to do is, as the instruction is already fetched into the instruction register, the next part is decoding the instruction, right? We need to decode the instruction, mind you. Here, what must be decoded? We need to decode opcode. This is the opcode part. If you could remember, 12, 13, 14 bits are nothing but opcode. I'll write it here if you forget. Opcode. This part is opcode part. All right. This part is mode part. This part is mode part. And this is address part. I will write address. This is the address part. Now, it is the duty for we people to decode this instruction. What to be decoded? This opcode must be decoded. Opcode is a 3-digit. In order to decode a 3-digit opcode, I do require a 3x8 decoder. That is, I will use a decoder which is of 3x8 size, because this opcode is of 3 digits. All right. Okay. Now, these 3 opcode digits will get connected to this decoder. Okay. There will be a output from the decoder, that is the 0th output and the 7th output, because a 3x8 decoder receives 3 inputs and 8 outputs, one of which will get enabled. Okay. Now, the decoding of the instruction part is over. Okay. All these will get connected to my control unit. This is the hardwired control unit, control logic gates. Okay. Combinational circuit, which is realized by combinational circuits only, because this is a hardwired control unit. Keep it aside. Initially, before even decoding the opcode, we need to understand the mode digit. If the mode digit is equal to 0, then it's a direct addressing mode. And if the mode digit is equal to 1, then this is indirect addressing mode, right? So for that reason, before decoding the opcode itself, we should be able to decode the mode digit, right? So for that reason, what we do is we need to use another decoder for the mode digit. But mode digit is a 1 digit, right? Is only a single digit. For 1 digit, we do not have a decoder at all. Rather, what we will do is, stay focused. I will use a flip-flop. This is nothing but a flip-flop. Okay. I will show you. This is a flip-flop. This is a flip-flop. Okay. What is a flip-flop? Flip-flop, you know that it could either stores a 0 or 1. Now, this flip-flop is going to receive a value from the mode digit. If the mode digit is equal to 0, flip-flop will be equal to 0. Otherwise, if it is equal to 1, flip-flop will be equal to 1. Okay. This is also connected to the control unit. Okay. This control unit inside is going to have all the routines, because opcode is going to be decoded as 0. I mean, the outputs of the opcode will be D0, D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, D6, D7. If it is 000, D0 will get enabled. What is 000 opcode? You know that 000 opcode is for AND. You remember? 000 opcode is nothing but AND operation. Okay. So now, similarly, 001 addition. 010 load, 011 store. That is, I mean, when one of the outputs of the decoder has been enabled, corresponding operation is going to be executed in the CPU, which is going to be controlled by the control unit. For an example, D0 is enabled. As the D0 gets enabled, the control unit is going to execute required routine which performs end operation in between accumulator and the data register. Okay, that will be available in the control unit in the form of a routine. Okay, so here each and every output combination will have a corresponding routine inside. If it is D0 and D1 add, control unit is going to take the necessary steps in which accumulator and data register are going to involve in an operation that is addition. 010 load, 011 store. So for every operation, control unit has a routine inside. When that specific routine gets executed, the computer system is going to perform that operation in the ALU. For an example, D0 meaning end operation is needed to be performed in the ALU. The control unit is going to take all the necessary steps to perform end operation when D0 is enabled in the ALU. Okay, that is it. At the same time, the control unit, I said the control unit is also going to receive the clock pulses. Let us understand the mechanism of the clock. Let us design the clock mechanism of the system. Okay, now I designed the system clock. This is the system clock, right? Okay, what is this clock? This clock is going to give the clock pulses. These clock pulses. The clock is going to give you only the clock pulses. It doesn't count the clock pulses, mind you. Clock will give you the periodic pulses. Even look at your watch. The internal mechanism of any clock or any watch is to send the periodic pulses. Look at your watch and tell me, is that showing the time? Actual mechanism of the clock is not designed to show the time. When you open your watch, it is going to just give you a tick. Okay, it just ticks for every second. The period is 1 second. For every second, clock is going to produce a tick. Now, there is some external mechanism in which in which the time is going to be showcased. Similarly, here system clock also provides a clock pulse during some time period. This clock is based on some frequency. Let us forget about the frequency and the other things here. I'm not going to talk about that. Okay, clock will give you the periodic pulses. It is now our duty to count the clock pulses. We need to count from 0 to so on. So what we'll do is this clock is applied to a counter. Okay, a 4-bit counter. What is this 4-bit counter? You know what is a counter? Counter is a digital entity, digital circuit, which counts either in the upward direction or in the downward direction. A 4-bit counter can count from 0000 to 1111. I can have 4 flip-flops. I will have 4 flip-flops in 4-bit counter. This 4-bit counter can count a maximum of 1111. That is 16 clock pulses from 0 to 15. Did you get it? Now there is a sequence counter. It is applied to the sequence counter. Okay. Now, again, this sequence counter is connected to a decoder because this counter will give you the clock pulses in the encoded format, right? It won't give you T0. Rather, it will give you 0000. It will count from 0000 to 1111. Now, we need to have a mechanism which converts 0000 to T0, 0001 to T1, and 1112 to T15. So what we do is we will connect the output of this sequence counter to a 4x16 decoder. Why do I require 4x16 decoder? Because I'm using a 4-bit counter. The output of a 4-bit counter will be 4 outputs. What I'll do is I will connect them to a decoder, a 4 into 16 decoder. Now you can clearly see a clock pulse will get released. Let us say this is the first clock pulse that is getting released by the clock. Now immediately sequence counter starts its counting. That is 0, 0, 0, 0. The first clock pulse has been released. Then this decoder is going to decode 0, 0, 0, 0 as D0. In fact, it is T0. I will call it as T0. And the output 0 is enabled. T0 is enabled. Okay. Then 0, 0, 0, 1. T1 will get enabled. I hope you got it. Clock will release the clock pulse, and then sequence counter will start counting the first clock pulse, that is 0th clock pulse. Then it gets connected to a decoder. The decoder is going to decode the pulses from T0 to T15. Rather than calling it as D0 to D15, I will call it as T. T stands for time. Time pulse 0 to time pulse 15. The moment T0 is received by the control unit, it is going to enable program counter and address register. I hope you got it right now. Now, control unit receives the clock pulses. The moment T0 receives, the moment it receives T0, it is going to enable program counter and address register. Program counter and address register. In T1, memory of the address register to instruction register, program counter will be updated to PC plus 1. And T2, what will happen? This decoder, the decode operation will get performed. These 3 bits will get decoded. Okay, that is the opcode will get decoded. Corresponding operation should be performed in the ALU in conjunction to this mode digit. What is the mode digit? It is going to give you either a direct addressing mode or an indirect addressing mode. Okay, finally, the address part should also be decoded because taking this address, we are going to the main memory. This is how the control unit is going to get designed. Initially, the control unit is going to provide the control signals only in sync with a clock pulse. Every time it receives a clock pulse from this side, it is going to enable those registers and memory locations corresponding to that clock pulse. Okay, now let us see. Yeah, initially, let us understand the instruction cycle flowchart. It gets started. Start sequence counter will be equal to 0. Initially, we are going to clear the counter. Okay, we are going to clear the counter. I forgot to explain you clear and increment. The counter the moment clock pulse is received, the counter starts working. Let us say it's the first clock pulse, T0. In T0, program counter to address register, and then corresponding operation will get performed. For an example, let us say the instruction takes around 5 to 6 clock pulses. But a maximum of 15 clock pulse can be given to an instruction. But only 5 to 6 clock pulses are maximum needed by any instruction, after which we need to start executing the next instruction, right? That is, at the end of every instruction's execution, this counter will be cleared again. Okay, clock will release, the first clock pulse released, T0 will get released, and the control unit is going to enable program counter and address register. When T1 gets released, memory of the address register to the instruction register, program counter is equal to program counter plus 1. Okay, so let us say after a few clock pulses, one instruction gets executed, and then this counter will be cleared to 0 again. At that time, this clear input will be enabled. That means that one instruction is finished and the next instruction will have to start fetched. Again, clock pulse will get released, next instruction fetch, next instruction decode, next instruction gets executed. Clock again gets incremented. This is counter will get incremented, T0, T1, T2, T3, T4, T5. Let us say instruction finished. Again, clear pulse will be applied to sequence counter. This is going to get cleared. Again, the next instruction will be in process. This is how to design a control unit. Okay. Now let us see how it is going to perform. T0 is received by the control unit. Immediately in T0, program counter value will be transferred to the address register. control unit makes a transfer in between program counter and address register. In T1, memory of the address register will get transferred to the instruction register. Program counter will be incremented. In T2, what is going to happen? The operations, the opcode will get decoded. What should be decoded? Mode digit should be decoded, and the opcode should be decoded, and 15th digit should be transferred to the flip-flop I. Okay, address register will get the value from instruction register 0 to 11. Stay focused. This is an address. This address must get transferred to the address register. Okay, in that is in the T2. Then in T3, what we do is, rather, in T3, what we do is, we will take a call. What is D7? If D7 is equal to 0, then a memory reference instruction will get executed. If D7 is equal to 1, then an IO instruction will get executed. How? Let us stay focused. Opcode is 000 to 111, right? Okay. But memory reference instructions are from 000 to 110 only. That means that only from D0 to D6, memory reference instructions are there. But for D7, there won't be a memory reference instruction. When D7 gets enabled, that means that in the opcode, we do have 111. If it is 111, it cannot be a memory reference instruction. In one of the previous sessions, while I was explaining about the instruction design, I explained you people about the different opcodes. The opcodes can be 000 to 111 because there are 3 digits in the opcode. The maximum number of opcodes can be 8, but in which 7 will be for memory reference instruction. That is from 000 to 110. When it is 111, it cannot be a memory reference instruction. If it is 111, D7 will get enabled, right? If D7 is enabled, then that means that the following instruction can be either a register reference instruction or a IO instruction, but not a memory reference instruction, right? So if D7 is equal to 0, that means that if D7 is not enabled, that means one of the other decoder outputs are enabled from D0 to D6. Then a memory reference instruction will get executed. If D7 is equal to 1, then there will be either register reference or IO instruction provided by the mode digit. If the mode digit is equal to a 0, a register reference instruction will get executed. If the mode digit is equal to 1, then a IO instruction will get executed. After executing any of this instruction, sequence counter will again be clear to 0. When it is a memory reference instruction, look at this side. Okay. When it is a memory reference instruction, we will have to calculate the effective address of an operand, right? If it is a memory reference instruction, the address part is going to provide you a memory address. This memory address could be a direct address or an indirect address, for which we're going to calculate the effective address. Did you get it? If it is 0, direct addressing mode. If I is equal to 0, what is I? Most significant 15th digit. This is going to be a mode digit for the memory reference instructions. Rather, it is going to decide either, if it is equal to 0, corresponding to the opcode 111, then it could be a register reference instruction. And if it is 1, it's an IO instruction. But if it is, if the opcode is from 000 to 110, this will act as mode. That will tell you an address. That will give you an address, which is either a direct address or an indirect address. So, okay, if it is a direct address, finally, a memory reference instruction will get executed. T3 will be reserved. This is T3, right? This T3 is a T3 clock pulse will be reserved for indirect addressing mode for calculating the effective address of an operand. In the direct addressing mode, no operation is going to be performed. Finally, a memory reference instruction is going to be executed in T4. I hope you got it. Once again, just have a look at this. If it is a memory reference instruction, just try to understand. T0, program counter to address register. T1, I mean, memory of the address register to the instruction register, program counter will get incremented to program counter plus 1. In T2, total decoding part is going to be done. After decoding, we need to execute the instruction. There are 3 choices. The instruction can be either memory reference or register reference, or IO instruction, right? If D7 is equal to a 0, then a memory reference instruction will get executed. Because if D7 is equal to 0, meaning decoder output, 7th output, decoder output D7 is not enabled, which means that one of the outputs from D0 to D6 are enabled, which means that in the opcode, the combinations will be from 000 to 110. Got me? In such case, what we have to do is we need to execute a memory reference instruction. For a memory reference instruction, T3 is reserved for calculating the effective address in an indirect addressing mode. Okay. If it is a direct addressing mode, in T3, we are not going to perform any operation. Finally, in T4, a memory reference instruction is going to get executed. Okay. When it comes to register reference instruction or IO instruction, in T3 itself, the instruction itself, it is going to get executed. Okay. If D7 is equal to 1, that means that the opcode is 111. When it is 111, either it is a register reference provided by the mode digit is equal to a 0, which will get executed in T3. Okay. And it is going to be IO instruction provided by the mode digit is equal to 1, which is going to get executed in the same T3 instruction. Only one of them will get executed at a time. Okay. So this is it. This is how a control unit is going to be designed. Okay. We also discuss about microprogrammed control, but I'm going to just watch the video of the microprogrammed control unit only after finishing memory, because after memory you will get a proper idea about the programming in the memory, so that you will get a complete idea to understand about microprogrammed control unit. Microprogrammed control unit is not similar to the hardwired control unit. We need to discuss a lot more things in the microprogrammed control unit.